Look, let's be honest. When you sit down for a meal, you have certain expectations. You expect your spaghetti to be made of wheat, your olive oil to come from olives, and your beef lasagna to contain, beef. It seems like a ridiculously low bar to set, doesn't it? Yet, it turns out that clearing this bar is surprisingly difficult for some parts of the global food industry. This is because we have a huge, sprawling problem that most people don't even know exists. It's called food fraud. And it's not some quaint little scam run by a guy in a trench coat selling genuine Rolexes. This is a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise where organized crime syndicates have sunk their teeth into the very food we eat every single day. Food fraud is the act of deliberately deceiving consumers about what's in their food for financial gain. It's a simple and frankly brilliant criminal model if you think about it. The profits are enormous, and the risk of getting caught and facing serious jail time is laughably low. Criminals aren't just stealing food, they are fundamentally altering it. They might swap a premium ingredient for a cheap, sometimes dangerous substitute. They might mislabel a product's origin to command a higher price, or they might use illegal chemicals to make old, rotten food look fresh and appealing. This isn't just about being cheated out of a few dollars. It is a systemic corruption of our food supply chain that puts our health and our trust on the line. The scale of this is staggering. Experts estimate that as much as 10% of the food we buy globally has been tampered with in some way. That means 1 in every 10 items in your grocery cart could be a lie. It's a problem that touches everything from the most basic staples to the most luxurious delicacies. We're talking about everything from honey bulked up with cheap sugar syrup, to expensive saffron diluted with dyed corn silk, to Parmesan cheese patted out with wood pulp. Yes, wood pulp. Suddenly, that sprinkle of cheese on your pasta seems a lot less appetizing when you realize you might be eating something that belongs in a hamster cage. This isn't an accident, it's a calculated criminal deception on a global scale. The masterminds behind these operations are not your typical street-level criminals. They are sophisticated, organized networks that exploit the complexity of our modern food system. They understand supply chains, international trade laws, and chemistry. They operate from the shadows, using shell companies, fake paperwork, and a web of accomplices to move their fraudulent products across borders and onto our supermarket shelves. They have turned our dinner plates into their personal cash machines, and for the most part, they have been getting away with it. This isn't just a story about food, it's a story about crime, deception, and the massive hidden vulnerabilities in the system we all depend on to feed ourselves. Perhaps the most famous or infamous example of food fraud blew up in 2013. It was a scandal so ridiculous it sounds like the punchline to a bad joke, the European horsemeat scandal, or as the tabloids lovingly called it, Horsegate. It all started innocently enough when food inspectors in Ireland decided to run some DNA tests on beef burgers sold in supermarkets. What they found was, to put it mildly, unexpected. The burgers didn't just contain beef, they contained horse. In some cases, the beef burgers were nearly 1/3 horse meat. This wasn't a case of a little accidental cross-contamination. This was a deliberate industrial-scale bait and switch. As investigators dug deeper, the scandal exploded across Europe. It wasn't just burgers. Horse meat was found in frozen lasagna, moussaka, ravioli, and all sorts of ready-to-eat meals. Major trusted brands had to pull millions of products from shelves in dozens of countries, from the UK to Hong Kong. The public was understandably horrified and confused. People who had spent their lives avoiding horse meat for cultural or personal reasons discovered they had been eating it for months, maybe even years. The scandal revealed a dark and complicated network stretching across the continent, all designed to pass off cheap horse meat as more expensive beef. The investigation eventually led to a Dutch meat trader named Jan Vos. This guy was basically the Moriarty of meat. Operating from Belgium through a company registered in Cyprus, he had built a sophisticated criminal empire. He would buy cheap horse meat from places like Romania and Canada for about €2 per kilogram. For comparison, beef cost about €4 per kilogram. He would then have the horse meat shipped to facilities in France and Belgium, where it was repackaged and relabeled as beef. From there it was sold to a ready meal manufacturer in Luxembourg, which then distributed the finished products to hundreds of supermarket chains. It was a slick, profitable operation, estimated to be making him around €20 million a year. The fallout from Horsegate was immense. It wasn't just about the yuck factor of eating an animal you didn't intend to. It was about the complete and utter breakdown of trust. If a major supermarket couldn't even tell you if its lasagna contained beef or horse, what else were they getting wrong? The scandal exposed just how easy it was for criminals to infiltrate the food chain. In response, the European Commission scrambled to create the European Food Fraud Network to improve how counterfeit food is tracked and detected. But Horsegate served as a massive, embarrassing wake-up call, proving that the labels on our food packages might as well be written in invisible ink for all the truth they sometimes contain. If you think the food fraud problem stops at meat, allow me to introduce you to the world of olive oil, specifically extra virgin olive oil. It's the good stuff, the cornerstone of the healthy Mediterranean diet, celebrated for its taste and quality. It is also one of the most frequently faked food products on the planet. The demand for Italian extra virgin olive oil is so high that Italy can't possibly produce enough to meet it. So, large manufacturers legally import cheaper oils from other countries like Spain, Greece, and Tunisia, blend them with a bit of Italian oil, and then bottle it. As long as the final blend meets certain quality standards, they can slap an Italian extra virgin label on it. This system, while legal, creates a massive loophole for criminals to exploit. This brings us to the Yellow Gold Operation, a name that sounds like a rejected James Bond title, but was actually a real Italian police investigation. A magistrate named Ludovico Vaccaro uncovered a huge fraud ring that was making a fortune selling completely fake olive oil. This wasn't just low-grade olive oil being passed off as extra virgin. This was something far worse. The criminals were importing cheap, sometimes expired, rapeseed oil from places like Turkey. They would then take this industrial-grade oil into a lab and treat it with chemicals like chlorophyll and beta-carotene. These additives would magically transform the bland, pale oil into something that looked, smelled, and even tasted vaguely like real olive oil. This fake oil was then sold to unsuspecting restaurants and wholesalers across Italy, Germany, and Switzerland. The criminal organization, made up of around 34 people, managed to earn over 7 million euros in just 2 years from this scam. And the problem is widespread. In 2021, an Italian consumer magazine tested 15 popular brands of extra virgin olive oil straight from supermarket shelves. They found that nearly half of them failed to meet the legal standards for extra virgin. They were, at best, lower-grade virgin oil, meaning consumers were paying a premium price for a subpar product. It's a classic case of getting champagne quality on a beer budget, except you're still paying the champagne price. The Italian Mafia, never one to miss a profitable opportunity, has heavily infiltrated the olive oil business. Anti-mafia police have discovered gangs exporting fake oil to the United States that was made from industrial lubricants. Think about that for a second. The stuff you might use to grease a machine part was being bottled and sold as a key ingredient for your salad dressing. The mafia's involvement has grown from simple extortion to controlling entire segments of the food supply chain. From wholesale markets to supermarket contracts, they treat olive oil like a commodity, just like drugs or weapons, turning a symbol of health and tradition into another dirty revenue stream. Let's move on to the seafood counter, where another more dangerous scam is taking place. This one involves tuna, the beloved fish of sushi and sashimi lovers everywhere. When you order raw tuna, you expect that beautiful, vibrant red color, which signals freshness and high quality. But what if that color is a chemical lie? Unscrupulous fraudsters have found a way to take old, low-quality tuna that is already oxidized and turned an unappetizing brown, and make it look like it was just pulled from the ocean. They do this by treating the fish with illegal nitrates, or by pumping it with carbon monoxide. This chemical process magically restores the bright red color, tricking everyone into thinking the fish is fresh. This isn't just a rip-off, it's a genuine health hazard. The chemicals used can mask the signs of spoilage, meaning you could be eating fish that is teeming with bacteria. This can lead to severe food poisoning, with symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, and headaches. In some cases, it can cause a dangerous condition called scombroid poisoning, which mimics a severe allergic reaction and can lead to hospitalization. So that fresh tuna roll you're about to enjoy could actually be a ticking time bomb of old, chemically treated fish. The fraud allows sellers to pass off low-grade tuna, meant for canning, as premium sushi-grade fish, multiplying their profits at the direct expense of public health. The discovery of this particular scam didn't come from government inspectors, but from a group of honest seafood professionals. In 2015, they noticed that some of their competitors were selling raw tuna at impossibly low prices. Suspecting foul play, they launched their own secret investigation. They went undercover and filmed a Spanish competitor using special machinery to inject old tuna loins with nitrates. They were essentially giving the fish a chemical makeover to deceive customers. Their evidence helped blow the lid off a massive international network dedicated to this dangerous practice, proving that sometimes the good guys have to become detectives to protect their industry and their customers. The scale of the tuna fraud prompted a massive response. In 2017, after hundreds of poisoning cases were linked to treated tuna across Europe, Europol launched a major operation. Codenamed Opsin, it involved police from 11 countries and targeted the entire criminal network. The operation resulted in 79 arrests and the seizure of 131 tons of chemically treated tuna. The network, operating primarily out of Spain, France, and Italy, was estimated to be making €12 million a year. Despite this major crackdown, the problem hasn't gone away. Authorities continue to seize treated tuna, showing just how persistent and profitable this deadly deception continues to be. So, we've talked about horse meat, fake olive oil, and, chemically enhanced tuna. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, this is gross, but what's the big deal? The big deal is that food fraud has real, tangible consequences that go far beyond just feeling ripped off. The most immediate and honestly frightening cost is the threat to our health. When criminals substitute ingredients, they're definitely not concerned with food safety regulations. They use whatever is cheapest, and sometimes that means using things that are actually harmful. Remember the fake olive oil made from industrial lubricant? Or the tuna treated with chemicals that can cause severe allergic shocks? These aren't isolated incidents. Beyond the direct health risks, food fraud causes immense economic damage. Honest producers and farmers who play by the rules simply cannot compete with criminals who are selling fake products at a fraction of the cost. Imagine you're an olive farmer who has spent years cultivating high-quality olives to produce genuine extra virgin oil. Suddenly, you're being undercut by a criminal gang selling chemically altered rapeseed oil for half the price. It drives honest people out of business, and really, it devalues entire industries. Consumers also lose out, as they're consistently paying a premium for a fraudulent product. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone except, of course, the criminals. Perhaps the most insidious damage, though, is the erosion of trust. Our entire food system is built on a foundation of trust. We trust that the label on the package is telling the truth. We trust that the supermarket has vetted its suppliers. We trust that the government is keeping a watchful eye on everything. When scandals like Horsegate erupt, that trust just shatters. People start to question everything they buy. Is this really beef? Is this actually extra virgin olive oil? This uncertainty is corrosive. It creates fear and cynicism, and it undermines the relationship between consumers and the entire food industry. Once that trust is gone, it's incredibly difficult to win back. This breakdown of trust has a ripple effect. It can lead people to make unhealthy choices because they no longer believe the information they're given. It can damage the reputation of entire countries' food exports, as we saw with Italy's olive oil industry, and it creates an environment where people feel powerless and unprotected. Food is not like a faulty electronic device that you can just return to the store. It's something you put inside your body. The expectation of safety and honesty isn't just a consumer preference, it's a fundamental right. Food fraud violates that right in the most cynical way possible. You might be wondering how, in our modern world of advanced technology and regulation, criminals can pull off such widespread fraud. The answer is that they are masters of exploiting the weaknesses in our globalized food supply chain. Think about the journey a single food item takes. A tomato grown in Spain might be processed into sauce in Italy, packaged in Germany, and sold in a supermarket in Sweden. This chain is incredibly long and complex, with dozens of hands touching the product along the way. Each step is a potential opportunity for a criminal to swap, dilute, or mislabel the product. Criminals use a variety of sophisticated tricks to hide their activities. They are experts at creating fake paperwork. A shipment of cheap chemically treated oil can be transformed into premium Italian extra virgin olive oil with nothing more than a forged certificate of origin and a few fake lab reports. They often operate through a network of shell companies registered in different countries. making it nearly impossible for investigators to trace the money or identify the people in charge. This corporate maze is deliberately designed to create confusion and shield the masterminds from prosecution. They are ghosts in the machine, profiting from the chaos they create. Another key reason they get away with it is the nature of food safety checks. In many places, the system relies on self-checks. This means that the food companies themselves, the importers, the processors, the wholesalers, are legally responsible for testing their own products. Unsurprisingly, this can be like asking a fox to guard a henhouse. The results of these tests are usually kept private, and companies are typically only required to report a problem to the authorities if it poses a direct and immediate health danger. A simple economic fraud, like selling cheap oil as expensive oil, often goes unreported because it doesn't immediately send people to the hospital. Even when fraud is discovered, holding the right people accountable is incredibly difficult. Investigations often stop at a low-level truck driver or a small-time warehouse manager. The big players, the ones orchestrating the entire scheme, are rarely caught. Furthermore, the big supermarket chains and distributors who sell these fraudulent products to the public are almost never prosecuted. They can often claim they were duped by their supplier, even though they have a legal obligation to ensure the authenticity of what they sell. This lack of accountability at the top creates a low-risk environment for criminals, encouraging them to continue their profitable scams. While the problem of food fraud is daunting, it's not a hopeless situation. There is a growing army of scientists, investigators, and regulators fighting back against the criminals. These food detectives are using cutting-edge science to uncover deception. One of the most powerful tools in their arsenal is DNA testing. Just as it's used in criminal forensics to identify people, DNA barcoding can be used to identify the species of animal or plant in a food product. This is the technology that first exposed the Horsegate scandal, proving that the beef burgers contained horse DNA. It's a definitive way to cut through the lies on a label. Another advanced technique is called isotope analysis. It sounds complicated, but the principle is simple. The chemical makeup of a plant or animal is influenced by the specific environment where it grew: the soil, the water, the climate. Scientists can analyze the stable isotopes in a food product to pinpoint its geographic origin with remarkable accuracy. This makes it much harder for criminals to lie about where their products come from. For example, they can test a bottle of Italian olive oil and determine if the olives were actually grown in Tunisia or Turkey. It's like a geographical fingerprint that can't be easily faked. Beyond the lab, international cooperation is becoming a crucial weapon. Organizations like Europol and Interpol now run dedicated operations targeting food fraud networks. These operations, often given cool code names like OPSON, bring together police forces and food safety agencies from multiple countries to share intelligence and coordinate raids. By working together, they can follow the trail of fraudulent products across borders and dismantle the complex international networks that produce them. The 2018 crackdown on the illegal tuna trade, which involved 11 countries, is a perfect example of how this international teamwork can lead to major arrests and seizures. Governments are also creating specialized units to tackle this problem. In Italy, the Carabinieri, the national police force, has a unit dedicated to protecting health and fighting food adulteration. These officers are experts in food law and investigative techniques, and they work tirelessly to raid illegal processing plants and uncover fraud rings. In the wake of Horsegate, the EU established the Food Fraud Network to allow member states to quickly share information about potential scams. These efforts are slowly but surely making it riskier and more difficult for criminals to operate, shining a light into the dark corners of the food industry. So, governments and scientists are fighting back, which is great. But what about the massive corporations that sell us our food? And what about the governments that are supposed to regulate them? Are they really doing everything they can? The answer, unfortunately, is a resounding maybe not. A huge part of the problem is that the system is set up to protect corporate interests, sometimes at the expense of consumer safety. As mentioned, the reliance on self-checks by companies is a major weakness. When the profit motive is involved, you can't always trust a company to report a problem that will hurt its bottom line. The big supermarket chains and food distributors hold immense power in the food system, but they often escape any real consequences when fraud is uncovered. Their defense is almost always the same: we were deceived by our supplier. We are victims too. While that may sometimes be true, it ignores their fundamental responsibility to know what is in the products they sell. These corporations have vast resources and could invest more in independent testing and more rigorous vetting of their suppliers. But often, the pressure to deliver low prices to consumers leads them to buy from the cheapest source, sometimes without asking too many questions. This creates a perfect market for fraudulent goods. On the governmental side, the penalties for food fraud are often shockingly weak. If a criminal network makes millions of euros selling fake olive oil, a fine of a few thousand euros is just the cost of doing business. In many countries, food fraud is not treated as a serious crime, and prison sentences are rare. Compare that to the penalties for drug trafficking and you can see why organized crime finds food so appealing. It offers similar profits with far lower risks. Governments need to get serious about creating tougher laws and dedicating more resources to investigation and prosecution, sending a clear message that poisoning our food supply for profit will not be tolerated. Ultimately, there seems to be a lack of political will to truly overhaul the system. After the Polish meat scandal, where undercover journalists revealed that sick cows were being slaughtered and sold for human consumption, there was a public outcry. The European Commission conducted an audit and confirmed major problems. But in the end, no significant changes were made to the law, and many believe the illegal practices continue. Real change requires governments to stand up to powerful industry lobbies and prioritize public health over corporate convenience. Until that happens, the fight against food fraud will remain an uphill battle. At the end of the day, the story of food fraud is more than just a collection of shocking anecdotes about horse meat and fake oil. It's a fundamental issue of honesty and safety. Food is the most essential thing we consume. It nourishes us, it brings our families together, and it is a cornerstone of our culture and traditions. The idea that this intimate part of our lives has been corrupted by criminals for profit is deeply disturbing. It attacks the very foundation of the trust we place in the society that feeds us. We have a right to know that the food we are buying and eating is what it claims to be, nothing more, and certainly nothing less. Caring about this issue is not just for foodies or activists, it's for everyone. Every time you buy groceries, you are casting a vote for the kind of food system you want. By being aware of this problem, you can start to ask more questions. You can support local producers whom you can trust. You can be skeptical of prices that seem too good to be true, because they probably are. Public awareness is a powerful tool. When consumers demand more transparency and accountability, companies and governments are forced to listen. They can't afford to ignore a public that is informed and angry about being deceived. The battle for food honesty requires a united front. We need stronger laws and harsher penalties to deter criminals. We need more funding for the inspectors and scientists on the front lines. We need corporations to take their responsibility seriously and invest in securing their supply chains, even if it costs a little more. And we need a food system where transparency is not just a buzzword, but a core principle. This means better labeling, more accessible information about where our food comes from, and a culture where hiding the truth is no longer an option. This is not an impossible dream. It's a necessary goal. So the next time you sit down to eat, take a moment to think about the incredible journey that food took to get to your plate. We should be able to enjoy that meal with confidence, not with suspicion. The fight against food fraud is a fight for one of the most basic rights of all, the right to eat safely. It's about ensuring that the secret ingredient in our food is never deception. It's a fight for honesty on our plates, and it's a fight that every single one of us has a stake in. Because ultimately, the question, is your food controlled by the Mafia, should be met with a confident and resounding no.